Welcome back to the best DFS tips for week 6 with our resident 33rd team DFS expert, Jordan Vanek. We are going through our favorite DFS plays at each position from quarterback all the way through defense. But Jordan, let's start with the quarterback position. Who is your go-to guy for this week?
Going with Trevor Lawrence. The Colts play a ton of cover 3 coverage. Trevor Lawrence right now is averaging 10.5 yards per pass attempt against it. It's one of the highest in the entire NFL. This is a spot we did see them already play in week 1. Trevor Lawrence performed exceptionally well. They had some fumbling issues. It was a weird kind of game of like preventing the big blow up opportunity. But I think this is another week where Trevor Lawrence can continue to perform like he did against Buffalo and some of these other teams.
If you're going to be playing Trevor Lawrence this week, you need someone to stack with him on the Jaguars. Who would that be?
It's Calvin Ridley. He's one of the top players against cover 3 coverage this year. The Colts boundary corners, which is their outside corners, struggle heavily against a lot of players. They just gave up 150 yards against DeAndre Hopkins, who was a player that I touted last week. I'm going to keep attacking them, and Calvin has over 30% or about a 30% target share against cover 3 and averages 4.64 yards per route run, which is one of the highest in the NFL.
His best game of the season came in week 1 against the Colts. I also think that he repeats this week. But let's move to the running back position. Who are your go-to players this week at running back?
I wish we could play team running back because I would love to play the Dolphins running backs as a whole. Obviously, we know Devon Achon is now on the IR, but Raheem Mostert is totally fine and capable of handling a big workload. He did it early on in the season, and then they kind of gave him a break when Devon was healthy. So Raheem Mostert at his price is too cheap for me against the Carolina Panthers defense, who might be without Derek Brown and Brian Burns this week.
Yeah, that would not be good for them at all. If the trenches are missing, you got Raheem Mostert running up the middle. Never good when that happens. But what about wide receivers? Obviously, the most players are started at the wide receiver position every week. There's a lot of ways you can go. Where did you find yourself looking for this week?
There's a lot of great players this weekend at wide receiver, but I'm going to go with someone that's under the radar, and I don't necessarily know why. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown in the matchup against Tampa Bay Buccaneers is one that I want to get to. He's got over a 25% target share against cover 3. I just talked about the Colts playing a lot of it. Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play slightly more cover 3 than anybody else. Amon-Ra averages 4.4 yards per route run against it. Obviously, Sam Laporta just popped up on the injury report, and again, I said there's a lot of value at the receiver position. I believe this is the JMO week. This is the week where Jameson Williams kind of gets going as well. Lean towards Jared Goff, and it's been a battle with that 6K range at quarterback on DraftKings between him and Trevor Lawrence. So JMO and Amon-Ra, I think, are in good spots against this Tampa Bay secondary, who did have a bye week, so are a little bit well rested. But now this is the spot where the Lions, they're not going to be able to run the ball effectively against Vita Vea in that front now that they have had a week of rest. I think they're going to have to take the deep shots, and everybody talks about Jared Goff's away splits. It's Tampa Bay, Florida. It's not a Green Bay in December, so I'm not worried about his away home splits in this matchup.
I love that. Both my fantasy teams, my dynasty teams will thank you on the Amon-Ra St. Brown take. I hope he goes off this week. But what about tight end? The toughest position, the wasteland. We already had Travis Kelce go on Thursday night, which makes the options even slimmer for Sunday. Where do you see somebody that can go off?
So this player went off last week, and it's not carrying over in that regard. But Dallas Goedert, obviously, we saw him take a part in the offense against the Rams. The one thing that I see is the Jets struggled inline tight ends, and then you add some of the injuries they have to their secondary that we're going to see throughout the week. I think they're going to overcompensate to cover AJ Brown and Devontae Smith because they should. And that's going to leave windows for Dallas Goedert to sit in this quarters type coverage zone, and he's going to be able to make plays because now he's functioning part of the offense. He's finally had that game to get off like, okay, I haven't been getting the ball. And Jalen Hurts is going to trust and find his tight end in this matchup.
I love that. The most overlooked position in DFS, as always, is the defense. You're going to need it if you're going to win the $1 million. What is that team right now that can lead you to the top of a DFS leaderboard for this week?
I usually hate playing overpriced defenses, but Miami Dolphins at 3,500 kind of feel like a value compared to who's above them. The Falcons are more expensive. The Raiders are more expensive. Yes, they're playing the Patriots and the Commanders, but the Dolphins are playing Carolina at home, where we've seen Bryce Young struggle heavily. We watched the interception of Aiden Hutchinson this past weekend. Now he's playing a defense that's going to be more complicated than past week. So for me, at 3,500, Miami Dolphins defense is one to get.
I love that. I cannot get enough of them. But that is it for the Week 6 Best DFS Tips. We'll be back every single Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn the bell notifications on for more 33rd team goodness coming each and every single day. But until next time, keep chasing that upside.